going to use the microphone, if that's okay. So, just want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you fell asleep in early 2020 and you've just woken up this morning. The world is in many ways completely unrecognisable to you. And I don't need to list all the disruption, all the challenges we've faced, but suffice to say that when it comes to managing our organisations and managing ourselves, resilience is key. So that's why I'm here today, to offer you one version of a way forward. And I want to do that by telling you a story. And I want to start by showing you my inheritance. This is what I was left. Millions and millions and millions of tins. It's one of the products we sell. We sell tins. However, this is really a story about how we transformed a traditional family-run business into arguably the best team-led business in the country. But first, I've got a confession. You see, I never really wanted to be the CEO of this business. But in order to explain how we've got to where we are today, I need to take you back in time to what my life looked like 10 to 15 years ago. Life was good. I was happy. I was doing something I really had always wanted to do. I was working in the commercial property investment market in London. I was doing quite well. I was pretty good at it. I just got married. I'd married a gorgeous girl with green eyes that I'd met at university. Life was great. And I told my parents many, many times that I didn't want to run their bucket shop. I mean, why would I want to do that? Why would anyone want to do that? Well, in 2009, everything changed for me. My daughter had recently been born, and my wife and I were taking her out for a walk around the shops. And we were in the local flower shop, actually. I remember it very clearly. And my mum rang. My mum gave me a ring. And before she had even said a single word, I knew what she was going to say to me. She was ringing to tell me that my brother had died from suicide. And that was the moment my life changed forever. Not only was I absolutely devastated by this news, but in the following hours and days, I realised that the choices that I had been taken away from me. I felt like I didn't have any options, just obligations, which involved taking on the family business. My father had died earlier that year, actually, and then my brother had died, and my mother was also very unwell, and she died a few months later. So there was literally no one left. So what did I find when I went into the business? Well, when I went into the business, I realised that we were a company that was just about getting the job done, and some things hadn't changed in the business for years, actually decades. Wow, I thought, what have I let myself in for here? Yet despite having some of those thoughts, I actually started to get quite excited. I could see so much potential to unlock, and it really came down to the people within the business. And having seen this potential, there was absolutely no way I was going to let the business just tick along. So I started to think about how do we go about improving performance? And by performance, how do we think about the inputs? What are the inputs that are required to build a long-term, successful, more resilient business? How do we transform a business that was just about surviving into a real success? And this is all about building leadership capabilities, resilience, and confidence. And the way that we chose to go about it was deciding to create a culture of high performance with the business's purpose and its values at its heart. And we've done that over many years, and we've produced our very own handbook on how to do it. So our values handbook. It's the single most important document in our business. I tell people it's more important than their contracts of employment. And if I could distill all the things in that book into just one idea, it would be the strategic decision that we took, that in order to improve performance, we had to change the way we thought about ourselves and our customers. And in order to achieve this, we recognised we had to shift people's behaviours. Really not an easy thing to do that, but I believe that if we could do that, it would create more engaged and naturally far more resilient colleagues, and it would be a genuine win-win for everyone. And it all boils down to our values, actually, and we connect everything we do to one of our 5 values. Firstly, our image or our reputation. And 10, 15 years ago, when all that happened to me, this was really important at the time. Our reputation was under threat. People were saying the company was finished. It was going to be sold. It will fail. What's this guy doing coming up from London thinking he can run a business? He's never done that before. It isn't going to work. Now, all of those things were untrue, but I owe those people who were spreading those rumours a huge debt of gratitude, because they made me even more determined to succeed. And it remains a cornerstone of what we are today. Being trusted, being straightforward, doing what you say you are going to do is more important than ever. And that moves me nicely onto our second value of customer. When I came into the business, it was clear that the customer was not a top priority for us. So I started to think about, how do we start to change our thinking around that? Well, how about getting people who had never met a customer to actually meet a customer? How about that as an idea? Let's get the people who have the most impact on our customers. So that's the people picking our goods, the people delivering our goods, sitting down in front of customers and hearing firsthand why they ask us to do the things that they do. And we called it walking in other people's shoes. And it was a game changer in how we thought about customers. And it gave people a much deeper understanding of why they ask us to do the things that they do. And it turned out to be a great little idea which links very nicely to our value of innovation. Again, when I came into the business, I was really struck by, actually, I was really appalled and upset, actually, that people didn't think that they could innovate in their roles. But actually, when you completely reimagine what innovation actually is in a business, you can unlock so many improvements. So what is innovation? We aren't Apple. We don't even make anything. Does that mean we can't innovate? No, of course not. We just had to think differently about what innovation is, and how do you bring that to life in what was a small, medium-sized packaging business. And that was our challenge. And one of our answers was 1% improvements. A very simple idea, but it got huge traction. You know, we can all think of ways of improving what we do by just 1%. But just imagine hundreds of these 1% improvements implemented over time. Of course, that's not a new idea. It just so happened that we got pretty good at making it happen within an organisation. And amazing things have happened, actually. I thought that we'd be doing quite well if we got a few ideas when I introduced it this idea at a workshop. We had over 100 1% improvement ideas in those very first workshops from people actually doing the job. And so what about our value of performance? Well, the performance of the business has completely transformed. Previously, it had always been a business that had been run well, but some years it did better than others. Some years it made a profit, some years it didn't. All our key measures are going in the right direction, and we've won some amazing awards and had some amazing recognition. The one that always stands out for me is the reduction in absenteeism. So much so, in fact, I had to take a day off to recover. But I don't want to dwell on the results. For us, performance is not about the financial results. To us, performance is about, it all starts with the inputs. It's about the behaviours you have to adopt, you have to demonstrate in order to achieve these results. And absolutely key to high performance is being ambitious and having very high aspirations. and actually saying to people, it's okay. It's okay to have high expectations of other people. And this is a really fine balance between motivating, supporting, challenging, and actually at sometimes saying goodbye to colleagues. And our final value is team. And the simple fact, actually, that every single person in our organisation makes a difference. When you realise that it's your people who come to your rescue in a crisis, it's the only thing that your competitors can't copy, and therefore it's your only one true competitive advantage, then you start to think differently. And when I came into the business, I saw a fairly loose group of people who just happened to be working in the same place. That is not a high-performing team. And how we've gone about this is really thinking about what a high-performing team is. Bringing absolute clarity to what you've been brought together to do. What's your mission? How do you work together? How do you connect with other teams? And how do you come together to learn and improve? And this takes a lot of effort. It takes time to listen to your colleagues. Putting your arm around them, it takes effort. And more recently, I've been able to reflect on my journey, and it also has allowed me to appreciate some of the journeys that some of my colleagues have been on. And I want to give you two examples here, just to really bring it to life. Alphonse came to this country from Uganda about 15 years ago. He came only with his suitcase and about £100 on him. He didn't even have somewhere to stay. Someone kindly offered him somewhere to stay. It's someone he met on the plane for a couple of weeks whilst he found his feet. And he worked very hard. He worked nights in care homes. He studied during the day for his accountancy exams. But when I first met Alphonse, even though he was the most qualified person in our finance team, he was stuck in the corner doing very basic tasks. And I thought to myself, what's going on here? This is wrong. Anyway, Alphonse has been on an amazing journey, and he's now our finance director. And I've got to mention Stuart as well, our head of customer experience. But it may surprise you when I say that when he came into the business, he had absolutely zero sales and customer service experience. Absolutely nothing. He'd never done a role in sales or customer service. He'd worked in his accounts team all his life. He loved his Excel spreadsheets and his bank reconciliations. Yet we saw something really interesting in Stuart, something a bit special. He's great at engaging with colleagues and customers. So even though he had zero sales and zero customer service experience, we plucked him out of the accounts team and literally dropped him into the sales team. Because we felt he could really change the dynamic and really transform the customer experience. I don't know about you, but I think there's so much stuff written about leadership, isn't there? There's a new book every day on it. And sometimes people ask me what my job is. My kids ask me, Dad, what do you do all day apart from be on Teams calls? It's a good question. What is the role of a CEO? What is the role? What is my view on leadership? Well, of course, I could go on talking about, yes, it's my job to set the strategy, set the vision for the company. I have to make decisions. I have to lead and build a team. But I sum it up in 3 words. Make people better. That's my job. It's not about me. It's about other people. So I see it as my obligation. It's my duty to build the leadership capacity of the whole organisation. Not just the directors, not just the senior leadership team. They're already very fortunate. They've had a lot of time and money invested in them. This is about building the leadership skills of every single person. So every single person in our organisation has high performance plans. Every single person in our organisation has goals that they work to. And they have to report back every quarter on what they've achieved, and in my case, what I haven't achieved. And for 2023, we've set ourselves a really ambitious goal that we're going to extend our coaching program to every single person in the business. So that's the story, really, of how I inherited millions and millions of tins and some of the key milestones along the way. And today, the business is in many ways completely unrecognisable. And I'm so proud of what the most incredible group of people that I've ever worked for has achieved so far. But it doesn't mean we can't achieve even more. Now is no time to take our foot off the pedal. And the other thing I would say, very much in theme, just because we're an SME doesn't mean we can't operate at the very highest level. And it's these beliefs and this confidence that mean, actually, we're no longer just a packaging company selling tins. You know, we've set a number of new businesses up in the last 2 years. For example, Invo Fulfillment. So we've, using all the experience that we've gained over the last 40, 50 years in storing and distributing our own products, but doing that for other people. Invo Technology. We were approached by someone who had an idea to set up an IT support business in the Northwest. We had a look at it, and we did it. And finally, Invo Design, which uses all our creative talent in the business. We've created our own design business as well. So there we are. Thank you for listening. You can go onto our website, take a little bit more look. There's more about the story there, some videos on there, and also some useful free resources that you can sign up to as well. So, also, if you are interested in the handbook, I know there are some copies still outside, so please feel free to take one of those as well. So, thank you very much.